The Biggest Bear by Lynd. The story of Johnny and the bear. Good evening. I'm glad you could be with us here tonight for another family classic. But I need to see you a little better. Oh, there, now I can see you. Oh, what's that up there? Pretty nice. As you know, The Biggest Bear is one of the family favorite of all time. We come with sound effects. And if you're quite ready, let us begin. Johnny Orchard lived on the farm furthest up the valley and closest to the woods. That's Johnny. And this is where Johnny lived. You can see his mother over there. What is she carrying today? Up the hill you can see some trees. They're apple trees. How many trees can you count today? 1, 2, 3. How many cows are out there? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cows. Well, we can see here on the hill behind the barn, Johnny's grandfather had planted a few apple trees. These were the only apple trees in the valley, and they were known as orchards. Orchards. Because that was their name, Johnny Orchard. So they had an orchard. Orchards. Orchard. Whenever Johnny went down the road to the store for a piece of maple sugar or something, because that was his favorite candy, was maple sugar, he always felt very ashamed or humiliated. The other barns in the valley usually had a bear skin nailed up to dry, like these. But Johnny's barn never had a bear skin. See all those bear skins on those barns? Everybody had one. But not Johnny. Every fall for 3 years, Mr. McLean had come in with a bear. And one evening, Mr. Pennell had just stepped out to the edge of his nearest field. Look at that. And he shot 3 in a row. 3 of them. 3 in a row. And we see, it is true that Johnny's grandfather had met a bear. He met him once when he was way back in his orchard picking apples. But he had gone in one direction while the bear went in the other. When Johnny had asked him why, his grandfather said, "Better a bear in the orchard than an orchard in the bear." It was all very humiliating. But Johnny said to himself one day that he was going to go get himself a bear, and he wasn't going to be embarrassed about it anymore. Johnny said, if I ever see a bear, I'll shoot him so fast he won't even know what hit him. And we'll have the biggest bear skin in the whole valley. So off he went. And after he'd gone quite a way into the woods, he came to a place where there was a big stump. Something seemed to be moving. And Johnny said to himself, I wonder what's behind that stump. Something's moving over there. Well, there was something behind that stump. And it was a bear, all right. And there was the bear that was behind the stump. A little teeny baby bear. Oh, look at the cute little baby bear. He seemed hungry. So Johnny gave him a piece of maple sugar. That little bear loved that maple sugar. Maple sugar candy. And Johnny took that little bear up into his arms, and he hugged that little bear, and he said to himself, I'm gonna take him home, and I'm gonna ask my mom and dad if we could keep him. Sure enough, they couldn't believe that Johnny got a bear all right. His dad was scratching his head, and his grandpa said, I suppose you know what a bear likes to eat. Well, the bear really did like to eat. He liked to eat the milk that was meant for the chickens, or the milk that was meant for the calves. He liked to eat the mash that was meant for the chickens. He liked to eat the apples off of all the orchard trees. He liked pancakes on Sunday morning. And most especially, he liked that maple sugar candy that Johnny used to keep in his pocket and buy at the store. There was hardly anything that the bear didn't like to eat. And Johnny's mother got pretty upset when he started looking for things on her kitchen shelf. Oh boy. And Mr. McCarroll got pretty upset when that bear spent the night in his cornfield. In the winter, he had a wonderful time with the bacons and the hams and the Pinnell's smokehouse. Boy, that bear was just making a mess. It had been bad enough that he emptied all the sap buckets when the McLeans were tapping their maple trees in the spring. Getting bad, but it was worse later when he got into the McLean's shed and drank up most of the maple syrup. He was always eating, it seemed, and he grew pretty fast, and he got pretty big. Finally, Mr. McLean started talking to Mr. Pennell. They both went to see Mr. McCarroll. They all came to see Johnny and his father. I tell you, you gotta do something with that there bear of yours. He's been getting into everything. What they had to say about Johnny's bear was plenty. He was a trial and a tribulation to the whole valley. Woo! After the neighbors left, Johnny's father explained to Johnny that the bear would have to go back in the woods. You hear me, son? You're going to have to take that bear and you're going to have to take him way deep down in the woods, boy. You're going to have to return him. Return him to the wild. So that's what Johnny did. So the next morning when Johnny started out, they walked for miles due west on an old lumber road way past Baldwin's Hill to an old clearing that was overgrown with raspberries. Johnny explained to the bear that the time had come for him to go and live in the woods like other bears. He gave the bear a big last hug and started his long road home. But while Johnny was doing the chores the next morning, Johnny saw that the bear didn't stay very long in the woods. He came back. So Johnny started out again, due east this time, to the Blueberry Bluff, way past Watson's Hill, and when Johnny left him, the bear was eating blueberries very happily. But 2 days later, the bear was back, right there with the piggies. This time Johnny took him due south and got a boat and rowed 2 miles out in the lake and left him on Gull's Island, which is a pretty big island. But the next morning there he was, not even very wet. Johnny and his father talked it over. They decided there was only one thing that he could do. And Johnny said that he would do it. They really didn't have to go very far, but Johnny somehow kept on walking. They went north this time. There were no woods here. No roads, that is. And there was a part of the woods where Johnny had never been before. At last they stopped. Johnny seemed to have a little bit of a hard time getting the bullet in the gun. While he was working with it, the bear seemed to get a whiff of something. And he took off running. And Johnny with him. All through the woods, Johnny went. They went through the woods so fast that Johnny lost his gun. But he held on to the rope. They seemed to be heading for some sort of log house. They went through the doorway pretty fast, and something came down with a great big bang. They were prisoners. When Johnny looked around, he saw the bear was happily chewing on a big lump of maple sugar that had been put there for bait. Pretty soon some men came. They were a little surprised to see Johnny in there. They explained to Johnny that they were getting animals for the zoo in the city. They were delighted with Johnny's bear. He was much bigger than they had ever hoped for. He will have a fine place to live and all he wants to eat, the men told Johnny. And you can come and see him whenever you want to. That was their horn. Oh, how did I do that? And Johnny said, and I'll always bring him his favorite, a big chunk of maple sugar candy every Sunday. Well, that's exactly what Johnny did. He brought him maple sugar candy to the zoo, where the biggest bear now lives, every single Sunday, and never forgot his favorite. Well, I love you guys, and we'll be talking again. Now you can watch The Biggest Bear, listen to me read it to you, any single time you want. Turn it on. Love you.